welcome to my second set of YouTube clips on the way that I am planning on making some Star Wars Armada ships to increase my repertoire for my Star Wars Armada games. So recently I've posted some clips of my thoughts and an opening of my shapeway box, and now I am going to start looking at cleaning them, looking at the fine details and working out exactly what I need to do. So this is not only my computer desk, my office for the last 2 years, my lounge rooms sort of thing. But it's also where I do quite a lot of my hobby stuff as well inside, seeing it's generally nice and warmer than my shed. So first off, what I usually like to do is I like to set out the actual models on something like a piece of paper or that, and use reference material to see what sort of flash or things that I need to clean up. So for example, if I was to start looking at the bulk cruiser, I would be looking at, well, there's this nib right here that seems to be weird. Let me see if I can get it into focus. So generally what I do is I go back to computer screen and look at the actual model itself. And Mel's, seeing I bought them from Mel's Shapeway, it's pretty good idea to use the actual 3D portray of that to actually take a look. And as you can see, that section that I'm talking about, which is right there, is supposed to be there. So I'll leave that. Other things I can look at is the peg, like where there is any gaps, and you'll notice if I scroll, you'll notice there is 2 gaps right here. These 2 gaps are usually a part of the 3D printing process sort of thing. Makes it a little bit lighter, but also it means that when it gets to the customer usually will have to either say hide it using some sort of sealant or green stuff, or using like a bit of putty, some half craft putty, or even a bit of flash. I've heard people use like bits of sprue from other plastic games and trimmed it down, glued it in to sort of flash it out. Myself, I will probably this time try some sealant to seal it up, and then using a file to flush it down to nice and clean and be able to paint it when I get to it. So basically that's the bulk cruiser. What I also do is look at what colors that I would be looking at needing, or what other types of things that I should be looking for. So this is the Vindicator that is done by Fractal Sponge. Great designer, and I actually quite like this design. You can see that there are a number of turrets on it, while Mel's Miniatures only got like 4 little bumps here. That doesn't really denote any type of gun emplacement. So what I'm planning on doing there, if I get the model out, what I'm doing there, sorry, you can see those 4 bumps right there. What I will be doing is cleaning them off and replacing them with 2 of the turrets that I received from Mel, and potentially put 2 more of the turrets, one about there and one about there, to make it similar in style to what Fractal Sponge has done. Obviously, I won't be able to do everything that Fractal Sponge has done, but it's a case of just working through it. I may even try and do some on the underside. That's the image of the underside. As you can see, it's got a few more turrets underneath, and yeah, it might look good. See how I go with that. But either way, going through the models themselves, there is nothing much to do cleaning excess flash other than those 4 bits on this one. With this cruiser, with the bulk cruiser, I noticed that at the keyhole here where you attach it to the stand is a little bit too tight, so I'm just going to use a file to file it down slightly. And on the assault frigate, there is a little bit of additional flash way down the bottom here, just between the peg and the neck structure, that I'm just going to have a look at to see whether or not it's loose or thin, or whether it's designed to be there by Mel. So either way, it looks pretty good. As for the coloration for the assault frigate, I have this model. This, some people might recognize, is from an old game called Star Wars Space Battles, I think. Star Wars miniature game done by WizKids. As you can see, I tried to modify it by putting a widget for the stand, a peg for it. Size-wise, it doesn't look the same as size for an assault frigate, unfortunately. It is a lot smaller, as you can see. So I won't run that as a second frigate. However, it does have a lovely size to my Nebula B. So I may even end up running this as a Nebula B2, and maybe just adjust the fins a little bit out the back, use some reference material obviously to make sure that it looks as clean as possible, in keeping with the original premises of the B2 assault frigate, B2 Nebula frigate. So other than that, that is my task for the moment. Other things that I've got here is I've got a magnifying glass, a set of glasses that I wear generally when I'm doing modeling. It just helps. I've got additional light source sort of thing on my desk that just gives a bit of a white light look, so I can actually compare it. Where I do my work with the computer and that, it's fairly yellow light area, so I just prefer to have a bit more of a white light so I can do a color comparison, what it looks like in sunlight, in low light, and etc. Got some additional tools if need be, some shapeway stand for the painting purposes, and of course a few paints. But I don't plan on getting anywhere close to paints today. Anyway, that's it for this step. Now to get on to the cleaning and filing.